Before I start this review, here's a little bit of story time for you. So, I was originally gonna see this in 4DX 3D because, well, since Dune Part 2 got delayed in, I believe, September, they instantly put it out posters like a week after, on saying, see this in IMAX, and I was like, no, I don't want to, because it felt like a gigantic middle finger to people who are looking forward to that movie, including myself. So I decided to see this in 4DX 3D, and yesterday when I saw it, I was all ready. And, then the 3D happened, and, for some reason it was all fuzzy, mainly in the background. It didn't really work, honestly, for some reason. So I went out and decided to go to another screening for it, and, that other screening was in IMAX. And so I saw this in IMAX, and honestly, it was a better choice, but, even then, it's... I hate myself. The Marvels is directed by Nia DaCosta and stars Brie Larson, Teyonah Parris, Iman Vellani, Zawe Ashton, Park Si-joon, and Samuel Jackson. And when Carol Danvers gets her powers entangled with those of Kamala Khan and Monica Rambeau, forcing them to work together to save the universe. Hello, you We Are Beautiful movie lovers. My name is Louie, aka Movie Phantom, and today we are talking about The Marvels, the most recent MCU movie, and finally the last of the Bob Chapek MCU movies and the COVID ones. Thank God, and we're getting back to normal again. But yeah, like most people, I wasn't really looking forward to this movie. This is basically a sequel to Captain Marvel, WandaVision, and Miss Marvel. I hadn't seen Miss Marvel until, I watched it before watching this, which can I just say was an amazing choice. So, here's a quick recap. Captain Marvel was alright. It's not terrible, but it is very flawed. Carol as a character isn't really that great or compelling, and even with her small role in Endgame, she has much of a better role in that, even with her basically showing up in the beginning and at the end, which is kind of weird. And even in the post-credit scene for Captain Marvel, she had kind of more personality, admittedly. But I did love the stuff with Nick Fury and the Skrulls. But even with that, I did wish there was a little more. Then WandaVision, which I did really enjoy. I thought it was flawed, especially with the ending. But in of itself, I thought it was a good show. And Miss Marvel, I actually pretty enjoyed. It is very flawed and at times kind of weird with what it decides to do with its story, which felt kind of off. But even with that, I enjoyed it, and I enjoyed Miss Marvel as a character. I loved Iman Vellani as her. She was perfect for it. And so, after watching that, I was a little bit optimistic going into this. I wasn't really that excited. I was mostly thinking it was going to be okay. And at times, yeah, I thought this was mostly okay for the most part. But I actually ended up really enjoying this movie. Is it perfect? No, don't get me wrong. It is very flawed with a lot of issues. But for the most part, I actually kind of enjoyed it. And I wouldn't mind seeing it again. It's more of a guilty pleasure for me than an actual good movie. But, yeah, I did enjoy it for what it was. It was enjoyable enough. And first off, let me get started with the main three characters themselves. Brie Larson is definitely my personal favorite that she has been as this character in the MCU. She is by far the best she's ever been. She has more depth, and while admittedly, with a little bit of her past in this movie, it didn't fully work a lot, but for the most part, it was really good, and I liked her character in this. She definitely had a lot more to work on, and her performance was definitely my personal favorite from her in the MCU. And then, we got Teyonah Parris, who plays Monica, and definitely, I kind of prefer her a little bit in WandaVision, but admittedly, in this, I thought she was pretty good in this. And like all of them, I think they were great, and she was also really great. Especially when it gets near the ending, it definitely has a lot more emotions with what I was building up, and it actually did work. So I didn't really feel what it kind of wanted me to feel, but it did work enough, and I actually really liked her character in it. And obviously, the main standout here is obviously Iman Valiani, who plays Miss Marvel, or by her real name, Kamala Khan, who I loved in this movie. She's just so charming. She has so much energy in this. And in general, I just loved seeing her family on a big screen. And honestly, I would just like a movie just focusing on her family genuinely, because they're just so nice and charming. I just love them so much. And you can definitely tell how much she really wanted to be in this, and her performance really provides with it. She has so much fun energy, and she's just all around just nice to watch. She's really great. I really liked her character, though it isn't perfect, but still. Nick Fury in this, while I haven't seen Secret Invasion, I already know it's far off, but for the most part, yeah, I thought it was good. Goose's return, yeah, he was definitely a little more better. Felt a little more useful, even with the cat scene, which is mainly for laughs, but it is pretty useful, but even then, it did kind of confuse me with one part, honestly. I'm not really gonna say it, but I don't know, it just kind of felt weird. The action scenes in this is actually kind of good in general. I really like them. There wasn't a lot, but yeah, there was enough in it. Also, especially with, the opening where they're switching places, and I absolutely love that scene. It had a lot of, camera movements that just really worked, with a lot of, points with it that provide to the action and what is going on. They got really creative with it. It is really clear that Nia DaCosta, really did want to make this. She was a great director with this, and with the action scenes itself, it does show. Everyone did a great job with the action sequences on and off camera. They did a really good job with it. Also, the lighting is in general is pretty good, especially on a singing planet, which kind of annoyed me, but still, it wasn't that bad. But I mean, the lighting there was beautiful, especially one scene where it has a dance in it, which I absolutely loved that scene a lot. I mean, it was really good. Also, a tiny thing in here is with the beginning, where Kamala Khan, Kamala's drawings basically come to life, which was in Miss Marvel, and that was honestly my personal favorite thing in that show. And I actually like that brief moment, honestly. It's not as creative as it, but even then, it does have a lot of creativity with it. Admittedly, I did kind of feel the runtime with it being a little short. It didn't really work that much. I kind of felt like it would be a little longer, but even then, I'm glad it didn't overstay its time. Though the ending did drag on a while. Also, some CGI isn't really good. It's not as awful as I was expecting, but there are a lot of scenes that just look really bad. But even then, it wasn't the worst than I expected. The villain in this movie, I didn't hate. I did like her performance, but Jesus, it's like they just forgot about her on what to do with her. It just felt weird. I don't like it. I really don't like it. Also, the story itself, it feels kind of weird, because for some reason, it really feels like a third Captain Marvel movie. A third. It's basically the third movie to a second one we haven't seen. It just felt weird, honestly. Because it is mentioned that she did go on a mission, but even with that, it just didn't really feel that amazing, honestly. When we're mainly introduced to her, we see her in space, and that was pretty interesting, but we don't even get anything off it, which kind of sucked, admittedly. Yeah. But overall, also there is a cameo in the movie, not like at the very end, which there is one at the very, very end, which I really did love, and I'm not going to spoil it for you, but I'm pretty sure if you're a fan of a certain show, you will see it and you will like it. But there is a cameo near the beginning, well, in the middle of it, that it felt pretty forced in, which was necessary for the plot, but even then, it just felt a little rushed. But even then, it wasn't as phoned in as the garbage that was The Flash. Also, by the way, it sucks that this is gonna do worse than The Flash, honestly. The humor in this movie is nice, the cat scene is also pretty hilarious, but yeah, overall, The Marvels was pretty good, but I will definitely say you gotta do some homework if you want to watch this movie. 3 things you should definitely watch. You should definitely watch Captain Marvel. They do kind of do a weird recap of it, which didn't really work that much. Second, WandaVision, obviously, which it does kind of provide a little bit more, and especially Miss Marvel, which is the one you definitely need to watch for it, because that makes a lot more sense with it, and I would recommend watching that, to make it make sense a lot more, because trust me, it would definitely help. But overall, I actually had some fun with Marvels. Definitely the beginning was the best part, but even with that, there was a lot with it that really worked. The music was pretty great, sound design wise. And also, I just gotta say, there was there was a scarf in it that made a whip noise, which felt pretty unnecessary, but even then, yeah. But yeah, and overall, I really enjoyed this movie. The lighting is pretty good. They all have chemistry. The villain is very weak, but overall, I did enjoy this movie for what it was, and I would recommend it if you are a fan of those previous 3 properties and something else. And also, there is a post-credit scene that I just cannot believe it is real, but, yeah, definitely stick around for that, mid-credit scene, but yeah, overall, I enjoyed The Marvels, and overall, my thoughts of it, if I would give it like a normal movie, I would probably give it a C+. If I was rating this movie as on my entertainment, on how much I was entertained, it would be a B+, but for a movie in general, I had a good time with it. Both of those, together, I think it would be a fair B. So, yeah, those are my thoughts, yeah. So, those are my thoughts on Marvels. What did you think about this movie? Did you love it, hate it? Let's agree, disagree down below in the comments. Come and tell me. My review for a anime will be coming probably tomorrow. I keep on forgetting the name because I'm an idiot. I deeply apologize. But yeah, and there will be a lot for November 17th. There's the new Hunger Games movie, Scott Pilgrim Takes Off, Leo, Rustin, and the first 2 episodes of Godzilla, and also the final episode of Goosebumps drops, which I am very excited to review that show finally for you, since I did just catch up on it, like, right now. So yeah, that's it right now for me. Yeah, stay awesome.